Time for some 8-1 for your wealth. We're talking about the economics of modern dating. Join with us now. We have author Christopher Music, who is also a financial advisor and wealth coach as well. Christopher, good morning. Welcome in.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here with you today.
So, okay, you created this book, this concept. Of all topics to talk about, you dove in, you asked the questions that everybody kind of is curious about nowadays, because the world of dating's changed quite a bit.
It has. It has. I've been a financial advisor for 32 years. And, you know, back when I was dating, back in the late 80s, early 90s, it was more of a traditional type of dating environment. And, of course, I got married. And about 5 years ago, found myself unexpectedly thrust back into the dating market and realized very quickly that modern dating is much different than traditional dating. And in 5 years, I mean, it's cost me a small fortune, to be honest with you. And so I had to figure out a way where everybody could enjoy the dating, the getting to know somebody phase without breaking the bank.
Right. So you're kind of having to learn to walk again. You come out into the scene. Okay, now there's these apps. There's, you know, all these expectations. What do I do? So what advice do you have for people? Because it can really add up. I'm talking about, okay, are you putting in enough effort? Are you not doing enough? How do you know what's the right way to go?
Well, you know, when I was dating early on, dinner and a movie would be 30, 40 bucks.
Yeah.
Now it's 150 or more. So obviously it's become very expensive. And so, like for example, there's a recent study where 46% of Americans identify as being single. 61% of them believe that dating is an unaffordable luxury, if you can believe that. 49% of those singles believe that they will never be able to afford a relationship.
Wow.
So because of inflation and, you know, real incomes going down and cultural changes, you know, where women in the workforce now are making a lot more money, a lot more educated, much more egalitarian, we have to kind of change the rules on how we work together. So one of the ways that we can do that is to kind of revert back to less expensive dating options. You know, remember, dating is about vetting someone for a romantic relationship or long-term partnership. It's not about really entertainment or about food or about adventure as much as that connection. So we can do a lot of things that are low and no cost. I have 101 ideas in my book that you could use to generate a lot of connection with someone without breaking the bank. For example, I mean, go out for ice cream. You know, what a neat, nostalgic activity, or coffee. Right? A walk in the park or a hike. There's a whole bunch of things you can do. What about card games? Board games. You know, we're in this digital age where it's all video games. You know, you can learn a lot about someone, about how they play Monopoly. You know?
Just those baby steps. Because you could put on all this time, energy, effort, money into someone, and then they ghost you. You never hear from them again.
Well, that's true. And dinner, again, is $100, $200 these days. And that's just too prohibitively expensive for most people.
So, okay, the thing is, so most men probably have a lot of this pressure of having to foot the bill. What do you say in those circumstances? It's 2024 now, though. Well,
it's true. And traditionally, men have always footed the bill. And I'm a traditional guy in that respect. If I'm going to ask a woman out, I'm going to pay for sure. Whatever it is I decide that we want to do. Even the second date. But nowadays, I think it's more prudent that if we're going to connect with someone, and we're at the stage of a third, fourth date, we've already decided this person has some staying power. And I think it's appropriate that in the beginning of any relationship, we start talking about money. That's the #1 reason for divorce, and most people that I've counseled over the years have terrible communication about the subject. So I think it's appropriate that we sit down and have an honest discussion, start talking about expectations, start talking about, you know, what your viewpoints are on who should pay for what. Because, you know, if we really want to date and have adventures and do things that are a little more expensive, it's a cooperative effort. You know, cooperative means together, operate, work. So it's working together to have a great dating and relationship experience, at least economically these days.
It's one of those tough areas, though, because you don't want to be on the first date asking about all these hard subjects, but you probably want to have these conversations early on.
Well, of course, because, again, if you're going to have a long-term relationship with someone, you have to work out some kind of workable solution. I'll give you a simple example. Let's say that one person makes $100,000 a year in income, the other person makes 50.
Right.
Well, you can have an informal arrangement where say, you know what, the one who has the 100 pay 2/3 of the expenses. The one that makes 50 pays 1/3, and you have now money kind of going into this pot, even in concept, where now you do common expenses based on that, and it's considered equal.
Yeah.
Because of what you can do. And I think if you just negotiate, communicate honestly, and compromise, I think you're going to have a much greater financial experience while you're dating and having a relationship with someone.
Yeah. Well, you want to know that they're invested, but then it's one of those things that you don't want resentment to build up, or tit for tat. Well, I did this, so now you have to do this, or you owe me. It's one of those complicated situations that you've really investigated.
Well, yes, and really at the end of the day, again, I'll just summarize. Communicate honestly.
Yeah.
Because that is, you have your intentions, you have your expectations, you have your training and background and all those things. And then, of course, when you negotiate, because all relationships are business partnerships. We got to remember that from an economics perspective. And when you're into business with someone, you have to negotiate in good faith. And you have to be able to deliver what you say you want to deliver so that you can receive back in the value that you want to receive. Okay? And then finally, to compromise, because all relationships take compromise. And you'll know you're doing well when you are operating in a relationship and neither one of you feels like you're being taken advantage of. And if you can keep that balance in, no matter what the arrangement is, everybody's going to have their own nuances.
Sure.
But if you keep that balance in, I think you're going to find a much more fun, exhilarating, and exciting experience.
Yeah, really good tips, some advice, good things to just think about in the back of your mind. Christopher, if we want to get our hands on your book, on a copy, how can we find it?
Okay, well, go to ChristopherMusic.com. That's our website. It's going to be available on Amazon about October 21st is when we officially launch it. And you can pick it up and read it.
Yeah, good stuff. I know you're busy. You're off to New York City, lots of different speaking engagements. So thanks for taking some time to stop by here.
Thank you. And remember, be better together.
Yeah.
Happy dating.
All right.